Well, a very good morning to you. Welcome to this special broadcast on Safaricom turning 18. I don't know whether you remember the time you turned 18, and it's not Safaricom but M-Pesa to be specific. When you turned 18, there was a certain expectation in your life. And we as a country, since 2007, that has been one of our bragging rights. You go anywhere in the world, you say Kenya, the home of M-Pesa. Now, it's quite interesting because with the development of M-Pesa, there was a formation of M-Pesa Foundation. And today we'll be dissecting what the foundation has been doing, the impact it's been having on the society and different sectors of our society, ranging from business, healthcare, education, all these sectors. So welcome, my name is Nokip Kamboy, and we're about to have a beautiful conversation with wonderful people from the Safaricom Foundation, M-Pesa Foundation specifically. At the center we have Karen Basie, Director of Sustainable Business and Social Impact, M-Pesa Foundation also. And at the end we have John Ohaga, Executive Trustee for M-Pesa Foundation. Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to this broadcast.
Thank you.
I mean, you guys look so colorful this morning. 18 years of M-Pesa. Karen, when M-Pesa was being formed, where were you? You know,
I was doing my master's actually.
You're doing master's there?
Yes.
18 years ago?
Yes, I was in school doing my master's.
Yeah. That's incredible. So you had a very interesting position because you understand how the world, or Kenya specifically, used to operate pre-M-Pesa, and now the introduction of this new concept. What was the public perception then? I mean, we are moving money using our mobile phones. Was it a shocker to the system?
I think it was a shocker because at that point the technology wasn't understood. So many people didn't understand how you'll convert money into an SMS, then the person on the other side gets the money. But when they started seeing what M-Pesa could do, and I remember vividly one time a PS telling us that when you wanted to send money home, you can't relate. When you wanted to send money home, you had to go stand at where your buses to your shags are. So you stand there, wait to see somebody who's going to the village and give them the money. And you're not sure if it will get home because there's no communication back. So M-Pesa is an innovation that came to address that and see how it is a household name here and globally.
I know, it's quite interesting. John, are you also doing your master's or PhD?
No, I was slightly ahead of Karen.
Okay.
I was moving forward, but I remember those days. I mean, you don't have to wait for someone going home. You give the conductor. You give the envelope to the conductor and hope the conductor gets it to stops off at the relevant bus stop, and maybe your mother or some relative will be there to pick up the money. So it was very interesting.
Wow.
I mean, I have to confess I was a late adopter of M-Pesa because I thought, what's this about? But once I got onto it, my goodness, it has just transformed the way that I send money.
That's quite interesting. Sometimes when you talk to people and they're, back in the day, nowadays, and you think they're talking about 100 years ago, but M-Pesa 18 years was a real game changer. In fact, even before we move into the foundation talk, just the element of financial inclusion, it's revolutionized the game. Karen, from your observation and working in Safaricom, how do you quantify this impact of M-Pesa when it comes to matters financial inclusion?
I think when M-Pesa started, or the survey of 2006, it was around 24% people who are financially included. Currently, we are at 86 to 90%. I think Kenya could be one of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa that is leading in financial inclusion thanks to M-Pesa. So it has really shifted the statistics because many unbankable people had nowhere to put their money. Now, everyone operates M-Pesa. And what excites me most is not just the shift, that even the old people can now receive their money via M-Pesa. You don't need to go queue in the bank. As in, it restores dignity, it saves time. So the shift in financial inclusion is amazing.
Definitely. And even businesses, John, because looking at the Kenyan economy, very highly informal, majority of our businesses are micro and small, falling under the MSME sector. And for the longest time, even bankability of these businesses was a problem because there is no proper record keeping. And then in comes M-Pesa and you're like, yo, we can facilitate your movement of your money within the business. And you can utilize these records either to source for financing or just to make better plans for your business. From your assessment, the impact of M-Pesa on businesses in this country, how monumental is it from your point of view?
I mean, for me, I have to confess, looking in from the outside, because I'm not at Safaricom every day.
Yes.
Looking in from the outside, what has impressed me is the scalability. Because M-Pesa, obviously, you know, started as individuals using M-Pesa to transfer money. But now it has transformed into businesses being able to do business to business, person to business, the fact that you're able to keep records and so on, as well as, you know, enabling a lot of business owners even to be able to run multiple businesses. I mean, Karen, you remember the guy who was telling us about being able to start different businesses? Yes. Because as a business owner, you don't have to be at the till every day to monitor your money because it's not cash. You can monitor it on your dashboard or whatever, wherever, because your different businesses are receiving revenue through M-Pesa, through your till number or your pay bill number, and that just means that you can scale your business because, you know, even though you want your employees to have integrity, the thing is that M-Pesa reinforces that integrity because once customers know that money is to be paid through a pay bill number, even they will get suspicious if your sales girl says, no, give me cash.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So those things, you know, they transform the way that you run business.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think for me the exciting thing about this, for the small businesses, is pochi la biashara. So you just have your own wallet where if you're sending me money as a friend, I give you my personal wallet. If we are doing business, you put money in a special wallet, so that pochi la biashara. So you can even see, even if you are selling vegetables, you're a small vendor, you can keep your business money away from your personal money. To me, the fact that the team in Safaricom keeps on innovating, working around, understanding the needs of the customers, be it individuals or small businesses, and then just preparing and creating something for them.
Definitely.
That is the power of M-Pesa as a platform.
Definitely. It's called commingling of funds, you know?
Yeah.
You wonder, okay, which one was my money and which one was the business money? You're wondering which one you're eating, you know? At the end of the day, usikule profit, as Kenyans will put it. Yeah. But now let's shift into Martyrs Foundation, because M-Pesa founded in 2007. And then 3 years after, you're like, oh, we have a foundation. Maybe let's start by understanding, because I've seen millions of foundations out here. Even most likely, John, you're going to have yours. Yeah, John Foundation, Karen Foundation. The idea behind formation of foundations, even before we come specifically to Safaricom, what informs these foundations? Is it charity wings? Do they serve different purposes? Is it an arm of business that is totally important to have when you're running your business? Is it because you have too much, now you're wondering, well, will I take this money? And then you're like, okay, let me form a foundation, another layer to it. Inform us.
Well, I mean, let me speak, because in my other life, I'm a lawyer. I practice law. So foundations enable businesses, organizations, people, even individuals, to be able to create a different entity that they can use to benefit a particular objective, whether it is society, whether you want to benefit, you know, your children, if you are a multimillionaire and you want to create a trust for them. Foundations are like a company, they're a legal entity. But from a business perspective, being able to create a foundation enables you to be able to advance your CSR objectives. And your CSR objectives enable you to reach the community that you serve. In order, from Safaricom's perspective, for instance, it's about touching lives. So the M-Pesa Foundation facilitates that, goes beyond the way in which Safaricom touches lives through their business initiatives into actually benefiting people in the places where they live, improving their livelihoods, health, water, sanitation, and so on and so forth. So, and of course, we have to confess, there's also tax advantages, you know, because under the Income Tax Act, trusts, charitable organizations have certain advantages from a tax perspective. But the primary objective is to be able to have a beneficiary. So who are the beneficiaries? And so that's why we set up charitable trusts.
That's incredible. I've had tax incentives and I'm like, no, keep Kimboy Foundation tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense. But now, 2007, as I put it earlier, M-Pesa rolls in, the big boy, and it's transforming how we move our money. And then 3 years after, you guys are like, okay, let's put up a foundation. Talk to me, Karen, from your perspective, what motivated doing that? And initially, for the 3 years, didn't M-Pesa or even Safaricom as a company at large, being able to, was it able to do CSR and impact activities? So what motivated that move to form a foundation?
So if you look at the history of Safaricom, Safaricom itself started in the year 2000, right? And Safaricom is here to transform lives. And so when Safaricom looks at how it transforms lives, Safaricom is celebrating 25 years. Safaricom Foundation is celebrating 23 years. So when Safaricom set up, it quickly set up its foundation also. Yeah. So it was in the spirit of setting up this foundation and seeing that the Safaricom Foundation was your day-to-day CSR foundation, doing the little investments, touching everyone's lives in this country. So when M-Pesa was formed, 3 years later, it followed the same thinking, that as a business, we could see that M-Pesa will grow, and it will continue growing, and it will transform lives from the commercial side. So then we needed an entity then that can transform lives in the spaces that M-Pesa won't be able to touch. And that's why 3 years later, having learned from the 7 years of Safaricom Foundation, M-Pesa Foundation was set up with a clear mandate of doing, I like calling it the heavy lifting, with a clear mandate of doing more big, scalable, impactful projects. So that was what distinguishes Safaricom Foundation from M-Pesa Foundation. So M-Pesa Foundation is the foundation that comes into the community, looks at the community, and can transform the whole of that community, thanks to the frequent use of the M-Pesa proceeds, of the M-Pesa transactions. So any transaction you do, we benefit as a foundation. Yes.
That's incredible.
And the community benefits.
Oh, yes.
By extension. So every time you're using M-Pesa, think about it this way, you're impacting somebody, some community.
Yes.
So,
and by the way, John has been in the foundation longer than me. Asking the hard questions.
She's there day to day. She has the facts and figures. Figures.
How long have you been
a trustee? What, 5, 6 years, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. How about you, Karen?
From 2020, that's 5 years, but I've been in Safaricom for 17 years. So I'm also as old as M-Pesa.
You're like, you've seen this baby come to life, and now it's getting an ID, which is very, very interesting. Now, let's look at the impact, because the foundation is doing something amazing. And John, priority areas, there's so many things. You know, there's a famous Kenyan quote that says, mambo ni mengi, masaa ndio machache. Yeah, and even when it comes to tackling societal issues, you really have to pick your priorities and what you want to focus on. So for the M-Pesa Foundation, what are these priorities that you picked and why before we break it down further into the specific ones?
So as the M-Pesa Foundation, and you're right, Noah, because I think as any business, you have to focus on certain pillars. Otherwise, you're everywhere and therefore nowhere. As the M-Pesa Foundation, there are 3 primary pillars that we have decided to focus on. And the thinking around those pillars is because we thought those are the areas that impact the largest proportion of the population, in the most impactful way. So that's number 1, health, and then we have education, and then we have environmental conservation. Now, health, I think it's easy for you to appreciate why health would be a primary pillar. And with respect to health, we have certain focus areas, maternity, maternal and child health care, for instance, just ensuring or trying to mitigate mortality rates, for instance, at childbirth. Because this is a huge issue in this country, as with most developed countries. So the thing was, how do we try and intervene to ensure that we provide or partner, find partners in order to provide health care that is sustainable, that is impactful, and that would mitigate the things that we see in society. From an education perspective, how do we empower that child from the village who has, shall we say, a less than privileged upbringing, and be able to lift them to the point where they can be leaders in this society, where they can have a meaningful contribution to the society. I mean, we don't just educate people for the sake of educating them. You educate them so they can in turn contribute. And our hope is that if we impact you, that you would in turn look to impact people. Environmental conservation, when we think about climate change, we think about sustainability. You can understand why environmental conservation is something that we would focus on. And so we look at, for instance, growing trees. We look at ensuring that we preserve the environment. We look at seeing how we can partner with communities in ensuring that they can have a sustainable way in which they can put in place interventions to just motivate them to appreciate why sustainability is important. So those are the primary pillars that I think I would talk about. Maybe Karen might want to add to that, but those are what we've identified.
Definitely. So Karen, I'm glad he's outlined the 3 main areas, and he touched pretty much, first of all, let's talk about this health situation, because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Very, very important. And Safaricom is a tech company that has really evolved into many arms. Now fintech, anything tech related, we've seen you guys have a hand in it. And I can imagine some of the interventions that you're doing in the health sector, you borrow from the DNA the same way the foundation borrowed from the Safaricom Foundation, the M-Pesa Foundation borrowing from Safaricom Foundation, this tech element, because we are in a very digital world. How has been the foundation's, intervention in Kenya's health sector through utilizing technology?
Good question. Thank you so much. So when we look at anything in the foundation, we must leverage technology, because technology will help us reach the scale, and it also opens up for other people. So if you look at health, we have a program or a project called Daktari Smart. Daktari Smart is a partnership between Safaricom PLC, because they give us the connectivity, Gertrude's Children's Hospital, and M-Pesa Foundation. So what are we doing, and the counties, what are we doing in Daktari Smart? So we realized that we cannot have pediatricians in all public and mission hospitals. So we looked at how do we integrate technology in this space. So it's not about having a doctor on a screen and a patient on the other side. So it's proper technology integration with the right telemedicine equipment. So we got this equipment in. One is at Gertrude's. We are in 4 counties, 5, Lamu, Baringo, Homa Bay, and one county escapes my mind. So we're in 4 counties. Samburu. Yeah, thank you. So what we've done is to ensure that if the doctor in the clinical officer in most of the counties is examining a child, what the clinical officer is saying using this gadget is exactly what the doctor in Gertrude is saying. And the notes they type is exactly what the doctor is saying on the other end. So it's real-time intervention.
Okay.
And for me, this is one of the projects that is emotional. Because in Samburu, there was this little girl who had a heart condition. And everyone assumed at that time it was asthma or something. And so because of telemedicine, the doctor in Gertrude suggested bring the child. So the foundation, we transport the mother and child, transported them, brought them for a review at Gertrude's. Then the doctors realized there's a hole. This child would have been sent to India, but Gertrude's organizes a camp where children with such conditions, they bring in specialists, and the child was treated. This is a year or so ago. The child is back happy in school. This weekend, we were in Vihiga on Saturday, and we got a similar concern, this child with a heart. And John talked about our medical camps. In the medical camps, we've integrated technology. When you walk in, we know it's Noah, but we don't give your name, we give your number for anonymizing of data. So we register you digitally. You go through the camp. By the time you are done, if you need support and you are tech savvy, you can now be onboarded onto Zuri, a doctor, a chat doctor, a chatbot. You can chat and ask questions and get to know more. If not, we continue managing you, supporting you, and that kind of thing. So in the camps, we've gotten children who we have referred. Right now, there's one child in Tenwek being treated for their heart condition. So as a foundation, when we find a problem, we don't leave you. People come to our camps with desperate cases. This is a prescription, I need this medicine. So we try to ensure that using technology, we reach everyone. In fact, we announce our camps using technology. If you're going to have a camp in Vihiga, we blast the whole of that area with SMSs, local radios and everything, saying that the foundation will be here. So there's no way we can leave technology out of healthcare.
Wow. Yeah. You know, now the rest of the counties are feeling envious. You've said you've rolled out, you're very active in 4 counties.
Yes.
I mean, John, scaling this up to the whole nation, is that a goal of the foundation?
Yes, certainly. Certainly, it's a goal. These things they have to be scalable. In the same way that M-Pesa is scalable, the programs that we undertake have to be scalable. But the primary thing, Noah, you have to understand is that we look to partner, because partnering gives us sustainability. Once counties partner with us, then they have an ownership in whatever we're undertaking. So we have a timeline within which we implement the project, and then we leave it to them. Of course, we will continue to provide support. But at the end of the day, you know, if we're going to scale across all 47 counties, we have to collaborate with each of those counties. They have to provide us with some facilities, and then we come in and we're able to do what we do best, which is provide the technology, provide the funding. If there are infrastructure needs, for instance, such as building the hospital, providing beds in the wards and so on and so forth, those are things that we will do. So back to your original question, yes, we're in 4 counties at present, but we will be scaling across the rest of the counties.
Definitely.
Just to say, we don't choose the counties randomly.
We
look at the counties that have the highest need. So there's the Kenya health data. So we go through that data and see. So that's how we started with Samburu at that time.
All right.
So it has to be data-driven. Yes.
It has to be data-driven.
Data-driven decision making. Yeah.
You know.
But another intervention that I think we probably need to talk about, and we don't talk about enough, is our fistula program. You know, there are many, many women and girls in this country who suffer from this fistula issue, and it impacts their dignity, it impacts their daily lives. And being able to just focus on intervening medically in that issue enables us to restore A, their dignity, B, enable them to go back to being productive in their daily lives.
Yes.
Because you can imagine that as a person, as a woman, because of this fistula condition, if you're constantly leaking, you know, the smell that comes with that, the discomfort and so on, it means you cannot carry on your daily life. You cannot go to the market, you can't start a business, you can't interact with people because you're self-conscious. So just being able to intervene there, and we have been able to intervene in, I think, 3 counties initially, which we found, as Karen says, data-driven, tells us where the largest problems are, therefore where we should begin these programs. We have been able to intervene there, and the impact has been amazing. You know, just seeing the restoration in an individual's life is something really impactful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's very important because socially, you know, we are social beings, first
Absolutely.
of all, and Africa, we have also another level of socialization. So such a challenge can really pull you back. But let's move to something very interesting, you know, education. While, you know, you're founding M-Pesa, you are doing your master's current, you know. Education is another intervention, which is powerful, because we say that education is the great equalizer. That is what gives everyone an opportunity. For the M-Pesa Foundation, how, since it's data-driven, what data drove you to intervene in the education sector?
Thank you. So let me say this. Every year, we go out and ask Kenyans a survey, what would you like us to do? So they say, educate my child, help me stay alive, and economically empower me. So it depends on the situation. It revolves around the 3. So when it was COVID, they said, pause education, first let us survive. Help us stay alive, then help our children get access to digital. So what drove education is because we strongly believed that education is our powerful tool of transformation. And when we started working in education, we knew education can lift you from the cycle of poverty. And we said, even if we can impact one child in this community, this child will come back and impact children or other people in that community. So when we started thinking of education, at that time we wanted to shift the narrative in education. And so we created the M-Pesa Foundation Academy. And in this academy, we were looking for multi-talented children, brilliant children, extremely needy background, to bring them in, train them, and then release them to be the thinkers, leaders, doers of the future. But we start catalyzing that at that tender age, because there's an age at which you can easily help transform somebody's life. And education gives me such a warm, fuzzy feeling, because these parents trusted us as M-Pesa Foundation Academy, sending their children to if you remember, John, at that time, the academy physically didn't exist. So we were recruiting the children at Brackenhurst, and the parents were coming in, and we were saying, this is a model, having learned from the likes of Starehe, African Leadership Academy, and that's why we call it a leadership academy as opposed to a high school, because we wanted it to be specifically that. So that was the genesis. And next year, M-Pesa Foundation Academy celebrates 10 years. We are proud of the initial crop of children, and one has even finished. She works at Goldman Sachs in the US and has invited us for her wedding. That is the power of walking this journey with one person. But then again, as a foundation, we sat down and said, we've seen this, it works, they still need in society. How do we now come in and transform education and improve learning outcomes? So we crafted the Citizens of the Future program, which we are going to launch in the near future, where we're just improving the look of primary schools and secondary schools, the infrastructure, the basic infrastructure. And what we have seen, and I think, John, you've been supporting a lot in launching these projects, seeing the before, the after, you see that even the mindset shift when you remove these children from this mad school. When we go to the mad school, you'll get maybe 100 children. The day we went to open, the school had 500 children. Just the physical transformation.
Yes. Wow. That's incredible. John, is this education pillar personal to you?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm here because I got an education.
Definitely.
I mean, think about it from your individual circumstances. As a parent, your primary role is to provide an education for your child.
Yes.
Because education gives them the foundation to be able to free themselves of you, to be able to establish their own lives, to be able to establish families, to be able to meet their personal objectives, and an income, and so on and so forth. And so in a society like Kenya, where we have so many people that are underprivileged, you know, the impact that we can make through providing education, and the academy is just one. You know, think about what's your county?
Kakamega County.
Think about your county, Kakamega. My mother was from Kakamega County as well. So I look at the schools within Kakamega,
yes,
for instance. The reality is that there are many, many schools which are, forgive the term, in a dilapidated state. So what we do is we try and intervene, improve the infrastructure, build laboratories, build boarding facilities if we need to, if it's a boarding school, build classrooms, provide desks, you know, put up blackboards. What are the basic things that you need in the school? And what that does is, A, it impacts the society, because not only does it impact the child, it also impacts the parents and the wider family, because it gives them hope. You know, hope is such a powerful thing. When you're able to give an entire society hope, because that one child is going to get a quality education, you know, they're looking at that child now as their luminary, so to speak. And so the ability to intervene there is just amazing. As Karen says, I remember this one school that we opened in Bungoma together with His Excellency the President. And you look at the before and after pictures. I mean, it is amazing. When you see what the school looked like before, you see what it looks like after. But the thing that amazed me most was listening to the head teacher. She was explaining to us that the population of the school, you know, just ballooned because parents were now transferring their children from the nearby schools to this school, because they also want to benefit from, I mean, don't you want to sit on a good desk? Don't you want to be able to learn in an environment where you can focus on the learning, where you're not worried that it will rain and the rain will come through? I mean, you see people in far-flung places holding classrooms under a tree, you know? I remember seeing, and these pictures, they sadden you. And so when you think about the impact that you can make there, it is truly, truly astonishing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, education is quite interesting, Karen.
Let me just say, in education, we are already in 35 counties. We have a school, we have renovated. But remember, we are a tech company.
Yes.
And these children, and Safaricom's 2030 vision is to be Africa's leading purpose-led technology company.
Okay.
So we are starting with the children, integrating ICT in the schools. So we don't leave leveraging technology out of our programs and our projects.
Yeah.
And I think for me, one of the things that was also heartwarming, you remember, the media plays a big role also in influencing which schools and where we go, and the stories we pick from the media, including you guys. So there's a time you showed a case where a young girl committed suicide because she was on her menses and the teacher made fun of her. I think it was in 2016. So that year, as a foundation, because we're very agile and responsive, we said any girl in class 8 and Form 4 across the country, we're going to supply them with sanitary towels, so that embarrassment and that kind of thing is removed. So in education, other than the hardware, We also go for the software. We also support such initiatives. And thankfully now I know the government took over this initiative and there are sanitary towels in schools. So we are very versatile and agile and can easily mobilize and support such an initiative.
Definitely.
So we called it Keeping Girls in School.
Keeping girls in school.
Yes.
Wow. That is very personal, you know.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, somebody wouldn't forget. And, you know, it's in the little things, we are told, those little things that really do matter. In fact, since you mentioned, Karen, just to touch on this a little bit, this issue of technology, you know, currently where we are, I'm glad she's invited us to the wedding, you know. You see the way I've put myself in the equation. Please, just an extra ticket.
We'll get a digital card.
Yeah, but you figure out that, first of all, we are a very young country. Our median age is around 19. And the job market is changing very fast. The industry to education system skill mismatch has been a problem for the longest time. Are we doing something in our our academies to smoothen that and make sure that we are preparing these kids for a future that is relevant to them and not something that they'll come out here and find it's either obsolete or not applicable?
So at the foundation, so in our academy, other than the academics, we train you on entrepreneurial, on innovation, and they have various industries. So the kids make amazing things in that academy. So they're trained on coding and future skills. But what we also realized is this is just a limited number of children. So as a foundation, we started working at the university and TVET level. So we looked at the young Kenyans and we asked them, how would you like us to help you shape your TVET education? And they told us, don't send us for 3 years, we don't have that time. Yeah? Send us for quick courses, give us the quick skills that we can easily now go back, create other entrepreneurs. So we've partnered with the University of Embu as a start and also some TVETs in Isiolo and Mandera to see how we can equip the young people with the current and modern day skills, also riding on their passions. So Kenya, we are still growing, we are still building, so there's lots of works in plumbing, lots of carpentry and that kind of thing, but you never leave our training without a toolkit. So after 3 months or 6 months, we give you a toolkit to help you. So we have worked very hard and supported a lot of girls. So we started a project to help girls in Kilifi. So we set up a scholarship program to give them hospitality. So we support in Kilifi and in Nairobi. And 99.9 get a job after that. Either in the shipping industry or locally within our hospitality. So we also support such initiatives for girls and then for mixed. So what I love about our training programs is we give you the toolkit. So you have the skill set because you've been trained, you have a toolkit, and you know how to do a business. So after that, immediately you graduate or you leave that institution, you go and you start your own gig immediately.
Definitely. You have your tools with you,
Yeah.
which is very important. John, just a segue. Yesterday I was at the Decode event, you know. It's quite interesting because it was a very young space, extremely young space, and I was so excited. In fact, you know, with our suits here and ties, we'll stick out there. You got me. But
I stick out like a sore thumb.
I know, it's crazy. And these kids are hungry. They're doing amazing things. They want to learn. And I'm just thinking as we finish up that education element of it, our lives are digital. Safaricom is leading that initiative in the country.
Absolutely.
This education intervention and marrying that to this wider vision of Safaricom, integrating, you know, into our lives, being part of our lives and bringing those solutions, you know, at the tip of our fingers and whatnot. How do you marry those two sides?
Oh, well, as Karen said, the first thing is, actually, I think every school that we provide infrastructure, integral to that is providing a computer lab, first and foremost, so that, you know, the kids not only have access to learning maths and physics and, you know, English and so on, but that they can begin to interact with a computer, begin to learn the basic skills. And these kids pick up very quickly, you know, coding and so on and so forth. It's something, as we say, they're digital natives. You know, you and I, sorry, I don't know about you. I know.
You're going for the wedding, I understand.
I know that sometimes I have to ask my kids to tell me what to do on my iPad, or, you know, open up something for me. But for them, they take to it intuitively. So just providing that basic platform, a computer lab, equipping it, ensuring that there is a continuous power supply and so on and so forth, you know, gives them that foundation to be able to now begin to have the basics that allow them to get onto the pathway to innovation.
Okay.
But just going back to the academy, one of the things that, you know, when I first took a tour of the academy, what I really have to say I was impressed with was that all learning is digital, you know. So there is no teacher scribbling on the blackboard and saying, this is your lesson. You know, the kids are provided with a MacBook. And so right from the outset, you can imagine a kid coming from the most underprivileged, far-flung corner of the country into this environment, and they take straight away to learning on a digital device.
Wow.
I mean, that means that they will spend their entire time, their entire period in school and beyond, understanding how this work, picking up the tools that you require to be able to innovate, to code, and to do all the things, all these nice things that are driving the world today.
Okay.
So for us, that is foundational. And of course, Safaricom also, being a technology company, provides connectivity. So the combination of those means that we are creating a really powerful generation that I think will, you know, will drive our digital future.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And talking about the future, Karen, you know, the world is changing. Today we can be walking out here and it starts raining and it didn't warn us. You know, unpredictable weather patterns, climate change is part of our conversation, and every business that is present has to address this issue of climate, at the end of the day, environmental conservation. You've been in sustainability for a very long time. That is your specialization. At the foundation, break it down for us how you implement sustainability, especially environmental conservation, into what you guys do.
So it's good you notice that that's my background, and my background actually is I'm an environmentalist. So at the foundation, we looked at the environment pillar, and we look at it with livelihoods and economic empowerment. So we said, as a foundation, we're going to protect the endangered species and also improve biodiversity in the country. So when we started with this, we looked at the forests, the water towers, and we said we want to do something. So we started those days working in Garendare. We finished fencing and then growing the trees in there. Then we were told about the Roan antelope.
No, tell him something that he can relate to. Kakamega Forest.
I also love antelopes, John.
I'm getting there.
Getting there.
Getting there. So the Roan antelope, in this country, I think there were left like 3 or 6. Okay. So we said, let's see what we can do with KFS to ensure that the population or these Roan antelopes don't become extinct. So we started, and now I think we've reached 17 of those. We've worked in protecting elephants in elephant sanctuaries, in Rateti. We've done the Mau ecosystem, where we've grown trees, we've fenced with rhino arc, Kakamega Forest.
Finally. I was waiting.
Working with the Kakamega County, Vihiga County, UNEP, rhino arc, KFS, KWS. So we are reforesting, but also we started by fencing the forest. Because if you don't fence the forest, the trees won't survive. There'll be continuous encroachment. But
and deforestation.
And deforestation,
Because,
yeah.
Exactly.
And people take their cattle to graze in there. But one of the most heartwarming projects was the Nyalani Dam in Kwale County. So this was a dam that had been disused and just left. So we came in, we restored the whole dam, and then the community donated land around the dam, and we started piping the water to the community and to this land. And to date, there's a thriving farming community around the dam. The power of restoring the dam, I think right now it's at 1 million cubic meters of water, and we got other partners who've now taken over in training the community and that kind of thing. So for me, when you look at environmental conservation, it's not just about the tree growing, which is a good thing, but it's also about ensuring that we create livelihoods. For instance, the Ogieks who live in the forest, they can continue doing their beekeeping and that kind of thing. So we don't get you out, we let you continue enjoying the restoring and enjoying that. It's about biodiversity increase. So if you bring back the trees, the birds and everything will be back in that forest. And also ensuring that we are conserving and contributing towards the bigger picture of having the 15 billion trees, but also climate absorption and sequestration, carbon sequestration. So it covers lots of facets when you see us doing environmental conservation.
Definitely.
And just looking into the future, actually, we have a plan to revitalize City Park.
Yes.
So we're looking to fence City Park. Did you know that City Park is, what did you tell me, 63 hectares?
63 hectares.
Which is actually more than 100 acres.
That's massive.
You know how attractive that is to another sector of our people.
Definitely. Very tantalizing. Mouth-watering.
Mouth-watering. So in collaboration with KFS, Kenya Forestry Service, we're looking to A, fence it, and then B, just begin to regenerate, you know, grow trees, flowers, put in benches, you know, a place where our people can go and relax and feel safe, take in the greenery, you know, families can spend their weekends there, you know, just somewhere where as people who come from Kakamega and live in Nairobi.
Can you enjoy?
Yeah.
we can go and
Feel at home.
Feel at home, regenerate.
Exactly.
So that's another project. That's something that we're looking to do as part of celebrating our M-Pesa Foundation at 15 and M-Pesa at 18.
Okay.
So that's something to look forward to.
Definitely. And John, I know there is, I mean, Karen has mentioned the larger vision of 15 billion trees. Of course, the government has been very open about it. It will take partnerships to be able to achieve this goal. But when you talk about sustainability and bringing it to the heart, to be a centerpiece of what we do each and every single day. Even if I'm running a small business, I'm thinking about sustainability. That is a cultural shift that needs to happen right there. How do you think that could be achieved? And as a foundation with the interventions that you're making, do you think it's shifting the heart of the nation on matters sustainability from the very base of small businesses to the very, multi-billion and trillion cooperatives like Safaricom?
So the way I see it is this: you are never going to achieve a cultural shift without involving the community. So we have to educate the community. But we're inspired by the fact that M-Pesa itself, the product, has shifted, you know, this culture, or, you know, the impact that it has made in banking the unbanked, you know, digital inclusion, financial inclusion. So that's really our template. When we think about what M-Pesa has been able to achieve, we can see what the foundation can achieve through engaging with the community, workshops, involving them in the projects that we undertake and letting them see the impact of those projects. So everywhere that we engage, we look to engage with the community. Who are the thought leaders? Who are the most impacted? how can we involve them? How can we make them appreciate from an early stage what this will achieve? So City Park, for instance, we cannot begin to fence and do it on our own. M-Pesa Foundation and KFS cannot on their own, achieve what it is we're looking to achieve. So we will be including the community, who are the conservation champions, shall I say. How can we bring them in? What ideas should we get from them? And so by being able to do that, I think that we can achieve that cultural shift that you talk about.
Okay.
It's a mindset thing,
Yes.
but the mind also needs to see what it is that can be achieved, to have the vision and to buy into it.
Yeah.
And then together we can go forward.
Yeah.
And
Yes, Karen.
we are catching them at the young age.
Yes.
So as a foundation, in the school program, Citizens of the Future, we have a tree growing component. So if the kids at this age learn the importance of taking care of a tree that you'll never enjoy the shade or nor eat the fruits of this tree, it builds a culture in you as you grow up.
Yes.
Okay, we used to do 4K club. I'm not sure if you did that in your time.
You're doing 6K now.
It was a very good program to help you understand the basics of conservation. So in any foundation project, we have a tree growing component. So at the primary schools, we are giving them 100 fruit trees and that kind of thing. And the children enjoy taking care of these things. So from that age, they're already learning.
Yeah. Catch them young.
Catch them young. Yeah.
It seems you were caught young because you went all the way and even studied, environmental matters, in uni and beyond. This is very interesting. So cultural change, collaborate, but also start them at a very young age.
Absolutely.
And now, even as we finish up this conversation, John, we are always looking at the future. Yeah, I can. Now it's the prophetic time. Yeah, we won't ask people to send their their offerings, but let's talk about the future of the foundation. Already 15. That's a lot. In the next,
very young.
It's actually very young.
It's actually very young.
These days I speak to 15-year-olds sometimes, and I'm like, 15-year-olds are more mature than when I was 15. Yeah, because of technology, the exposure.
Yeah.
There's so much information overload. But I'm thinking soon you guys will be turning 18. We'll give you ID like the way we're doing to M-Pesa today. But talk to me about what is the vision? What is the plan for the future? Do you have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan? And what will we hold the foundation accountable to in the next coming years?
Well, the first thing is that the 3 pillars that we identified, as you can see, we have not even scratched the surface in the sense of the number of counties that we've engaged in so far. So, number 1 is to incrementally roll out into the other counties. And the vision is eventually to have an impact across the country through every county in collaboration with each county. The leadership in those counties identify the communities that need to be impacted, whether it is health, whether it's education, whether it's conservation. That's what I see as a first step. Now, having achieved that, we can then, obviously, whatever it is that we do in each county and in each of our pillars, there will be innovations. We're only just beginning to see what AI can do, for instance. Karen talked about telemedicine. I don't know what tomorrow AI will be able to achieve, but we will be there. We will be exploiting it, we'll be studying it, we'll be leveraging it to see what we can do.
Okay.
I mean, earlier in the week, just to segue, we were running something else, and I was amazed because we had some collaboration with the city of Hamburg on something, and they were talking about having started a project in 1665. Can you believe that? This was started in 1665, and its impact today is unbelievable. So when you tell me that M-Pesa at 15 is old, no, we are so young.
Okay.
I mean, what we should be able to do in 100 years, and that has to be our vision, 100, 150 years, is one that should be able to uplift the lives of every single person in this country.
Definitely.
And beyond, in the same way that, you know, we've been able to do with the M-Pesa, the product.
Okay.
Today I can comfortably leave my house and go wherever without my wallet. As long as I have this device,
Yeah.
I am happy. And if we can achieve that cultural shift across the entire ecosystem in this country, I think we will be making progress.
That's beautiful. 1665.
Yep.
Ancestors were working.
Oh, what?
I don't know how ancestors are working, you know. We're busy praying. But Karen, also from your perspective, because I noted being in conservation for a very long time and sustainability, it's always about the present and the future and sort of undoing the misdeeds of the past. So for the foundation, from where you sit, especially from that element of sustainability, talk to me about what we hope to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think in the next 5 to 10 years, one is to ensure that we are able to transform the lives of almost 40 million people to 50 million. So that's a guarantee. We want to continue transforming lives of the communities in which we operate in. And I'm looking at it from the new program we're developing around conservation of water towers. So we go back into the restoration of water towers, ensuring that we continue growing trees to secure the future. That is one. On a sustainability level, to ensure that the foundations themselves, or the foundation itself, becomes sustainable. So by ensuring that we have enough capacity, we can attract funding, we can have some endowment funds, Rockefeller style, for the foundation, ensure that this foundation will be here in perpetuity, continuing to serve the Kenyans. But what excites me about the foundation right now is citizens of the future. The big education project that the CEO throws figures like 600 schools in 3 years. He would like us to have transformed 600 schools in 3 years and also impact many, many children's lives. But remember, we've not forgotten, we're leaving no one behind in this journey of transforming lives, in this journey of being a sustainable foundation. So we are looking at sustainable community investments that will ensure that the communities are not dependent on us. And I think we have learned the hard way from the USAID withdrawal. So as a country, we should be able to come together, partner, collaborate. And I keep on saying Kenyan problems have Kenyan solutions. So as a foundation, how, and as a company, how do we come around with our assets and the knowledge of other people to ensure that we create sustainable solutions that will outlive the foundation?
Beautiful. Our time is up. So you guys look like very deep people, you know. You introspect, you wake up early, you read your Bible and, you know, meditate upon the word. So, John, in brief, think of a quote, okay, that speaks to this season where you are and where you hope to achieve. Like when you think about 15 years of M-Pesa Foundation, what quote comes to mind?
You talked about the Bible. So let me go there. And the thing for me that simply encapsulates it for me is, I think it's Proverbs somewhere that says, without a vision, the people die. And the vision of M-Pesa Foundation is to impact lives, to sustain livelihoods, to give people hope, and to enable people to enjoy their lives. Simply that.
Wow. You better remember your Bible now, Carl.
Since you've been preaching, go the other way.
Yeah, please. What quote speaks to you in this season?
I think for me, sustainability, I'll go back to my default settings. Sustainability is not a destination. It's a journey. And for each journey, we just take that one step at a time, transforming and leaving things better than we found them. One day when we reach somewhere in the journey, because there'll be others who will come after us to continue, and they'll look back and say, we are standing on shoulders of giants who had a vision, who could see where we need to go.
Definitely.
So we are standing on the shoulder of giants. As M-Pesa Foundation, we're on top of the shoulders of Safaricom and M-Pesa, so we can see ahead. And then others will come, stand on our shoulder, and see further ahead.
So you see, she agrees.
lives.
We both agree on the vision.
Yes, the
Definitely.
vision. Yes.
I know. It's taking
We
it
both agree.
another floor, you know, the shoulders. Yeah, that's amazing. But this has been a very beautiful conversation. Really enjoyed. At least we have one commonality, John. We'll meet at Kakamega Forest. And Karen, we'll meet. Where's the wedding again?
I'll send you the details.
Please tell me the detail. We want to go and represent our people, yeah? And celebrate what the foundation has done through the different facets. But thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys taking your time to be here on a Friday. I don't know what you guys do on a Friday morning. Some people go play tennis, but you guys have sacrificed to be here, so we really appreciate that. Karen Basia is the Director of Sustainable Business and Social Impact, and you know, environmentalist at heart. Amazing. And we also have John Haga, Executive Trustee, M-Pesa Foundation, and he's a lawyer. You know, and he says in the other life, in this life. I really appreciate. Thank you very much, and thank you for being part of this conversation. Remember, M-Pesa Foundation is turning 15 years, and so far, that's what they have achieved. But as the conversation has rightly put it, the vision for the foundation is to see 100+ years. And where there is no vision, then people perish. But I'm glad that the foundation, it actually has a vision. My name is Nokip Kimbo. That's where we put a full stop to this conversation. It's been amazing. It's Friday. Please try and enjoy yourself. We out. Asante sana. I love it.